High Rocks event.
We're live. Go ahead. Keep talking about the example programs at the end of the High Rocks event. Did they give you example programs?
No, at the end of the High Rocks Ready to High Rocks course.
Yeah,
so the introductory coaching course that's provided through High Rocks, they give you outline 12-week progressions of training, and it's just aerobic based CrossFit. It's all dumbbells. They give you a beginner level, an open division level, and a pro level. And so you have 3 example 12-week cycles or progressions to get someone prepared to do a race. And it's all simple, low barrier to entry CrossFit intervals. And I was like, I look at it, and there was one, I was like, oh, cool, it's a good format. I'm going to pull that format and I'll use it for other people to varying degrees and levels and movements. But other than that, it's what we're already doing, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just, it's aerobic CrossFit. And I think we all agree upon that.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. We're talking about High Rocks, and we're going to dive more into it. Harley he's excited. He did a High Rocks competition. I'm excited. I mean, we can talk all about it. But Hydrate and Build 25-8, not sponsoring the show. We don't get anything from them. Coffee is good for you too. 800 milligrams of caffeine is found to build performance enhancing effects in elite cyclists. It can help you too. Just don't take it at 4:00 in the afternoon. What time is it there, Harley? 11?
It's noon, but I've been drinking coffee too late as of lately.
It's 2:30 and I have a Monster. Okay. Cody in the chat, call me out of how much caffeine I've already had today. It's totally fine. But yeah, 25-8, Hydrate and Build. Order now with QR code down at the bottom there. Re-up if you find that you're using it. That's great. Electrolyte balance and hydration, especially with the summer coming. I would recommend just setting it up on recurring bill. We actually will give you guys some insight. We were working on the branding company last night, and they asked us about brands that we like. And one of the brands, obviously, BPN supplements. And recently, BPN discontinued Enduro Pump, my pre-workout of choice, unfortunately. I like Enduro Pump because it has no caffeine in it, and it has all the other things like the beta-alanine, the arginine, those things in it. Now their new formula has caffeine, 200 milligrams. And I like to get my caffeine from other places for enjoyment, like Monsters and C4. So I don't want to have caffeine in my pre-workout. So it's unfortunate that they did that. And maybe I can now convince 25-8 to be my pre-workout sponsor and just rip off the Enduro Pump formula and build it out with them. So hopefully in the near future, we'll also have a pre-workout 25-8. I say we, like I'm part of the thing. I'm invested now. Anyways, buy it.
You're invested morally and emotionally, but not financially.
Yeah. Set it on recurring and make sure you have a scoop every day and run through it. It's good for you. Helps out. And maybe if we get enough people to buy it, we can make a sick pre-workout that I have a solid influence on. And I think I was getting a lot of performance enhancing effects from that Enduro Pump. And now I'm scared that I'm going to lose a lot of my muscle endurance gains because it was built and formulated for bodybuilders who want to bang out more sets and reps. And it's third-party tested, so there were no performance-enhancing drugs, so let's not even go down that route.
You should just try to recreate Jack 3D again.
I know we talked about this.
I know we did. Here we are 3 weeks later, just back on it.
Because it's good. It's so good. I wonder, somebody look up what the flavors were.
I hate it because it worked.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Harley did, if you guys didn't see on our Instagram, you want to tell the backstory of why I posted it?
Do it. Yeah.
Well, I might as well. We only have 150 people who watch these things. So I'm currently, I'm on the Taylor Self train, I think. And I think there are a lot of coaches out there who, I don't think we need to speak up and get aggressive with people, but I do think there's not a whole lot of accountability in the fitness space of any type, right? Like in other professions, yeah, if you're a doctor or even a hairstylist, there's a board. And I'm not really one for a lot of oversight in things, but I do think with the age of information and Instagram, and it's $300 to start a website. There are so many people just trying to make programs for people that have no business making fitness programs for people, even though, they started their fitness journey and changed their life and now they want to help others. And I understand that that is the circle of things like, wow, this really benefited me. So now I want to tell everyone. And in coaching, there's an opportunity to bring on clients and help. And everyone's got to start somewhere, like all of those things to be said. I want to start this whole wave of people who just say, hey, that thing that you're saying is incorrect, and here's why. And I would like for those coaches to take the feedback and implement it so they can become better. I'm not saying stop completely what you're doing, but like slow your roll, stay in your lane, and basically like scale when it's appropriate for you to scale. Because I think we have a responsibility to these human beings in life where you're giving them physical fitness that it transcends beyond just like the workout, a good workout. And anyone can give you a good hard workout. Noah and I were talking about this too. Like I can make any workout as hard as you want it to be, and it would be just close to your capabilities, but just far enough that you'd be like, I fucking want to quit this right now. And that skill, you can either do it and learn it on purpose, or you can just do it randomly and give people hero wads all the time. But no one's going to get fit that way. They're not going to have good, solid foundation, good progressions. They're not going to have back principle training programs. And so all that to be said, there is a couple of people out there now selling high rocks. Now, Proven did the responsible thing, as example, and brought in James Kelly. James Kelly is one of the best high rockers in the world. He's in the Elite 15. He's been training high rockers. He has an exercise science degree in Australia. He's been doing this thing. He's a coach. He's got education and background. He's also an athlete. You don't necessarily have to be an athlete, but his degree, his experience with others, Proven sought him out, brought him in as the head of the program. The rest of the people are educating themselves. They're experiencing high rocks. They're now going to go dominate. So they're taking and then the years of CrossFit that layers into that. So they're doing a good thing. Then there's other people who are just like, oh, high rocks, I can make money. Let me get into this. It's easy. We'll get people to run and push sleds and everything else.
Story. Side note example of that is like, so I met a friend of a friend at this event. I don't know anything about this guy, like what his history is. Maybe he's a full-time coach. I don't know that, but I just met him. And as soon as we got back on Monday, he posted on his Instagram. He's like, I'm going to put out a High Rocks program. Would you rather have 12-week cycle of progression, a one-time buy, or do you want to like sign up for a blog that's all based around High Rocks preparation so you can do what I do or whatever? And this guy, a friend basically said like, oh, what my partner, the guy I was paired up with, Danny said like, oh, they've done a bunch of high rocks. Like if, we're anywhere close to them, we're doing all right. And we ended up beating them by like 2 minutes or something like that. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I guess we did okay.
Yeah.
But this guy's going to turn around and try to sell stuff. And it's like, I don't know anything about education. I don't want to just judge a book by its cover, but my gut reaction was like, this is the exact thing that Todd was getting mad about.
Yeah. And look, everyone's got to start somewhere. But the post that I got upset about that I saw and I sent to Harley was a high rock. They went to Atlanta, they competed, and they got all the photos from the high rocks, and they were like, look at us. We're so cool. Like we're great. We got a team of coaches, and look at you want a PR like us. Sign up with us. We can help you and this and that and the other. And it was just overly marketed. And I was like, wow, it's just like a game of marketing, realistically. Like, because I would argue the four of us, and they're not just us, there are other coaches in the space. Like almost every single one of the training think tank coaches could out program and coach any of these high rocks fools. And arguably the Proven, even though they have James Kelly, he's one guy. The rest of the Proven team, I don't think currently, until they learn and they grow and they spend some time doing it, could out coach and program a lot of us, a lot of the training think tank people. And some of these other people have been in high rocks for a long time who have a huge educational background. And now because it's the hype thing, you've got somebody who used to sell hybrid style training and like for the female athlete who this, that, the other. And she's like, okay, you're clearly just jumping from like trend to trend because it's not sticking and you aren't getting results. Because if you're getting results, more people would be coming to you and you would have no issue. So then like I told Harley, I'm like, we're posting about you, dude, because you guys crushed it. And like it was easy for you to go out there. And I know you've been doing endurance training and some of the high rock stuff, but because of the CrossFit background, you took your your experience into it and just crushed it out with Danny. And you have been training Danny and coaching Danny. And from looking at his program design that you put in for him, it looked like 1 to 2 times a week he's doing sports specific things for High Rocks and building that out. And like it looked like you guys had a great time. 107 doubles. Yeah, the weights were lighter or whatever, but even if they were heavier, I think you guys would still have a very similar outcome. And I think with more run training, and you know this, both of you guys, and the pull on the sled, you could go under an hour for those loadings, and then probably like a 110 or under for the actual like doubles loadings, I'm sure.
Yeah. So like
And
Danny's
because of that,
preparation.
hold on, because of that, I think it's really valid and important for us to toot our own horns. And so I posted about Harley because you're killing it, dude. We're killing it. And I just am tired of these marketing things. It's like, Cody, I died. I laughed for like 20 minutes. It was so, Ruth was asleep. I was watching Shut Up and Scribble with Taylor Self and JR Howe, and they were talking about the semifinal team workouts. And before they were going over this guy who's got the grandstone method, and he's like, he sounds like he's either Irish or Scottish. And then they went over about Jessica and Amanda Barnhart, who are doing like the lit training, and just highly criticized it, which I'm in favor for, because we do need to have some type of accountability in these training programs and these coachings. I do want people to train, but it was funny because they started doing accents, and they were like, "Aura," in I can't even do it. Somebody do an Irish or like Scottish accent, basically, like, and was like, in 10 weeks, I'll teach you how to train your dragon. And I was dying laughing, because How Do You Train Your Dragon is a pretty funny movie. I really like that one. That's a Disney movie, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Pixar. I like
Or
it.
Pixar. No. Is it Disney Pixar?
Or DreamWorks. What are those? What are those?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
It's a good movie.
I was dying laughing because they were just making a mockery of like, yeah, in 10 weeks, I'll teach you how to train your dragon. Basically, like what Harley said, the guy's coming out, would you like a 10-week cycle or a blog to follow what I'm doing? Which is wild to me. Wild. Yeah. Just wild.
So a little background of like Danny's prep. Once the weather got better in Portland, he joined a run club one night a week so he could just get some group environment running and get some social time and change it up. He's also like had 1 to 2 pure running sessions. And then as we got closer to the event, to Todd's point, we had like 2 days a week of actual like actual High Rock specific movement combinations. Like yeah, it does. It's formatted, and how I would write any other CrossFit workouts is just more specific to those loadings, lighter wall balls, moving, farmer carries for long distances, some exposure to burpee broad jumps, etc. But we're still lifting weights twice a week because he isn't the strongest guy. So I'm like, all right, we're still going to do some weightlifting. We're still going to get some exposure to just high skill gymnastics because he enjoys it. And so he's just doing a well-rounded, balanced training program with some exposure to it and building up the running little by little.
Yeah.
For myself, I did not prepare for that like at all. I think the longest I had ran in any
to a degree, because you're aerobic engine with the
running specifically.
Yeah.
For running, I did not prepare the running or any sled work to any specific degree or regular training cycle. Like I didn't do anything weekly.
You're a beast on sleds.
No, sleds are pulling. Yes. Pushing is like the bane of my existence. But anyways,
you're a beast.
To your point, Todd, the aerobic work from cycling, I've been doing so much time on the bike and then going down from elevation to sea level, like I would leave a station feeling pretty hot, and then I would be recovered within 200 meters. And I'm like, all right, good to go. Let's pick it up again.
Yeah, you sound like a champion.
Sure, my ankles and my calves were a little sore the next day, and like I had some like leg fatigue, but it wasn't as daunting as I thought it was going to be. And I think there's so much to be said for like the psychological endurance of just spending time on a bike for hours at a time. Because when I was like, we were finishing station 3 or 4, right around the halfway mark, I look up and I'm like, oh, cool. We're like 25 minutes in. I'm like, this is easy. And then like, we're wrapping up the last run, and I look over at the clock and we were like under an hour, or on the last run, and we're under an hour. We're at like 57 minutes. And I was just thinking like, oh, sweet, man. Like we're like, you realize like how fast we're going. And Danny's like, wow, like this is actually really surprising. So it was surprising him. It was surprising me. It was a good time. And I'm not saying all this to like downplay the intensity that we were moving at. We were working like this. It was hard fitness. And to acknowledge Carlos's comment, he's like, it's not true fitness. I would argue with you on that, man. Like
RX definitely becomes a moneymaker for gyms stuck to testing fitness for me. High Rocks is cool, but it's not true fitness. I think it's a characteristic of fitness.
For sure.
It's not true fitness in the sense that we've learned from CrossFit or even strength and conditioning. Because even the NSCA, CSCS will tell you the definition of fitness, which I always laugh because like they have had a very similar definition of fitness as CrossFit, just missing a few characteristics, obviously, and then they don't. Well, they do now, but they don't mash things together. But when like Harley took it and when I took it, I'm sure I don't remember it being like mashed together where you're running and lifting. But I have seen now that they have incorporated a section of that of like, they don't call it mixed modal, but like what's it called? I don't know. The American Heart Association also did an article on it recently as well about just like bringing running hybrid athlete style, bringing running and lifting together. And so like it's a characteristic, like the aerobic endurance base and aerobic intensity is a characteristic of fitness. And we do have that in CrossFit in the 10 general physical skills of cardiovascular and then stamina and the other one, aerobic capacity. So like they're there. There's just a few different things. I mean, there's strength involved.
So I'm just going to pick on the choice of words. Like it's
Go
not
ahead.
true fitness. Okay. It's not perfectly well-rounded fitness. It's not the whole picture. Sure. I'll give you that. But like the ability to move light to moderate objects a long period of time and then get right back up to speed of running, rowing, or skiing and sustain that for an hour takes a fucking ton of fitness, dude.
You got to be pretty fit to do
You got to
that.
be real fit.
It does go along with moving large loads, long distances quickly, which is
Correct.
CrossFit's definition as well. So like, so like what we were talking about on the back end before we got on is like they are one and the same. And I always try to tell people it's the same coin, just the opposite side. But what Harley alluded to, which I think we can hit on, is like you still had Danny and yourself have a high base level of strength. And that's why you're watching CrossFitters come in and wreck a lot of these people who just do high rocks because they have a more balanced fitness. So to Carlos's point, I would say it's more balanced fitness, not necessarily true fitness, but because of the level of strength, like we got the high rocks classes going in here and we're a high rocks training center. And I really like it. Like I was like, okay, Marissa, you want to do this? Cause my wife was really intrigued by it. She likes endurance stuff. She's good at it by nature and training history. So I'm watching people do it. And then when we did the simulation, I was like, I can get down with this. This is kind of cool. And now I want to do the doubles because you did the doubles. And then I've watched more events. I'm like, oh, double seems good. And I want to work on my running. But all of the CrossFitters that go against some of these like quote unquote true high roxers or hybrid athletes, they get smashed on by the CrossFitters because we are so much better at muscle endurance and repeatability at high percentage or moderately high percentage, much higher than their percentage. And we're so strong with these robust strength profiles. And then all we do is layer in a huge aerobic capacity, which allows us to put down on the machines and even put down in the running because we do go fast. Most of these athletes, and this is the problem with some of these training programs I see on the internet. If you don't have a base, you got to build a base. So you got to run slow. Some CrossFitters don't have a base. Some CrossFitters do have a base. I don't really have a base. So doing like a Norwegian base building method, which I've been starting to do, is good for me. May not be good for Noah, who's got a huge aerobic base, and Noah needs to run fast. So Noah's going to be doing 8-minute intervals, 2-minute rest for 60 minutes, at full tilt to build out his speed. And like people don't know that. They just do like a high rocks class or they're doing this or that. And you're going to get fit by the nature of, again, the black box fitness model that CrossFit created. Realistically, a bunch of stuff goes in, you're going to have a positive net outcome. But if we can control what those inputs are and we understand what they are, we can get a very specific adaptation. And high rocks does require a very specific adaptation over CrossFit.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about this, is like I would use it as a tool for people who are strength biased athletes who need to be more aerobic.
Oh yeah,
Like,
100%. That's the biggest takeaway I've had recently.
agreed. Like that was my takeaway. I was like, oh, this is something I can get behind for myself because I think it would complement the off season of the biking without taking away the aerobic work. And me being a powerful athlete who's trying to become more enduring on the bike, I'm like, oh, cool. I can vary my training in the off season, not just live exclusively on the bike for year round and have a good time with it, you know? And then someone like maybe like a Tyler Vida or even like a Jace, who is a well-rounded athlete now, but like he is a power-based athlete. I bet he would thrive in that setting, and probably get really fit if we just did that in his off season as well,
Yeah.
because it would allow him to, one, he's a great runner, but it would allow him to just train light loads repeatedly, quickly, fast, rate of travel for long periods of time to just improve his aerobic process and the ability to clear waste, because that's really all that's happening after each station.
Yeah, that's the biggest benefit is the body learning, like the type 1 fibers learning how to pull out the metabolites from the type 2 glycolysis and allowing the body to recover. So people just don't realize, like, and this is like all new research in the last like 5 years that they figured out that like you can get stronger by becoming more aerobic if and only if you're strong though. So it doesn't, like, if you're aerobic, it doesn't mean that you're going to get strong. You have to get strong first and or at the same time. But that's why I bet you if you take a bunch of these high rocks people who are not strong and you put them on a 6 to 12 weeks, like full, just let's just say like a Windler, they're going to come out on the other end and just be way fucking better. And they do no running, no nothing. And they'll get right back to it and have huge performance and gains.
Well, like I just remember listening to the Train to Road podcast, and I was like, the first place I started was like strength training for cyclists. And they're talking about like, yeah, if you just do some like glute activation and some like midline work, you'll be able to transmit force through your core more effectively, so you're more stable and not feeling as frail on the bike. And I'm like, them questioning, I'm like, how's this strength training? And then it's because they're 120 pounds at like 6 foot tall men and just built like twigs. And so it's like, yeah, they do anything for strength, they're going to get more powerful.
Correct.
But it's like, I'm like, I need to look at the other side of the coin, as you put it earlier, is like, I'm already strong. I outweigh them by 60 pounds. I don't need to do strength work. Apparently I need to lose weight. So
not even lose weight. Like, cause you look at someone like Jeffrey Adler, you could lose weight. I want to be careful with that one.
Anyways, I don't want to get sidetracked, because I was just going to say the high rocks athlete who's exclusively a runner, who's trying to vary their fitness through this running biased, mixed setting competition and race. Yeah, they just need to get strong, because they're not going to lose their running ability relative to someone like me, who's already strong, but not a great fitness athlete. Well, not a great aerobic athlete, I guess you'd say.
Dude, they're not going to lose their mitochondrial density. Once you create a dense mitochondria, it doesn't go anywhere. It just gets dormant. That's the science.
Just go sleepy.
They just go sleepy. And then the second you start running again, it comes right back and they go, we're here. They're the powerhouse of the cell, people.
Dude, you mentioned those carbon plates, because now I'm thinking about like, oh, just producing more force through each step.
Yeah.
So like you're talking about carbon plate shoes. I looked up how much those things are.
Hold on, were you wearing your blue running shoes that you have?
I don't have the blue ones anymore, but I was just wearing. They're Nike Pegasus. Yeah,
okay,
same shoe. Just
dude, I love Nike Pegasus.
Yeah, they're a basic running shoe. It's good. I think mine are old and need to get new ones, but
well, you can get carbon plate shoes for $180. There are some that are like $250 though. I would just get the $180 ones.
I haven't seen any 180 ones.
We'll pull it up.
Most of the carbon shoes, like a lot of the moderately priced ones, all the websites are sold out of them in popular sizes.
Because they make you faster.
Because they work.
Yeah, because they work. All right, here we go. I'm gonna pull it up and share my screen in a second here. Anyways, yeah. So tell us about the event though, in general. Now that we've covered a little bit of the training stuff and where it's at, and when you guys see
like what my experience was.
Yeah. And why people like it. I mean, here's the thing that I do want to end on of the training aspect of it. Like, hopefully we've given people a good awareness of like, it is the same thing as CrossFit. It's just certain characteristics It's good for people who need to become aerobic. If you like that style of training, keep doing it. It's going to get you fit and healthy. Do keep in mind that you need to have a robust strength profile, and a coach can help you figure out what that is for you. And it's going to be different for everybody. Cause like even Harley's example of Trainer Road, these guys are 125 pounds at 6'2", riding bikes around, wasting their bodies away. Their strength profile is going to look a lot different than Harley's strength profile. And so you just got to figure out what's right for you through the process of like performance indicators and just build that out. But they're both great. And Carlos, it may not be true fitness in the whole sense, because you could have a high roxer that couldn't go out and dig a bunch of ditches better than a CrossFitter, you know? So I get down with what you're saying. I think hopefully we've helped you expand your definition a little bit more and have a greater understanding of those things. Comment in the chat if you agree. And if you still hate us, you can tell us to go fuck ourselves. All right.
All right. Love you too.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Men's Zoom Fly 6, $170.
What? Those have carbon?
Yeah. See the fly plate.
They don't have my shoes. They don't have my size.
Okay. All right. Well, I bet you they have them in this gross orange.
Hell yeah, dude.
Is it women's 10? Is that what you are?
Women's 10 for sure.
What size are you?
11.
Okay. Men's 10 and a half. Almost.
11 to 11
That
and a half.
The flames. Oh,
flames, dude. Oh my God.
You're ready. Flames.
I'll be cooking, dude, in Toronto.
Cooking. Let's see the blue.
Cooking in Toronto, dude.
Your only choice here.
It's destiny.
It's destiny, dude.
$170.
Dude.
But I get what you're saying, because you go.
I was thinking about getting the like Hot Wheel print Flames Vans, but these will, do. These will fit.
Oops.
I won't want to wear them around town or anything, but
What?
Those are lit, Marissa says. Yeah, literally. They are literally lit.
On fire.
No cap.
No
Hold
cap.
on, that's fine. I don't even think they have the ones that I just got. I got mine pretty cheap. They were on sale. I have a set of carbon ones, and they're something, bro. They're something. They really help me fly. But yeah, you can have like the more expensive ones, like these ones for $260. Coming soon. These are the new Vaporfly 4s.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for buying.
Yeah, I have the Vaporfly 3s. That's why I got them way cheaper. But yeah, they have the fly plate.
Date night shoes for sure, dude.
Yeah.
You're looking hot. And it's funny because I feel bad.
I'm spring in his step because he's so excited.
I felt, I got some spring in my step for sure. And I was just telling CJ this morning that I felt bad for buying myself power meter pedals to like track my watts on the bike.
You shouldn't be. No, you need those. Watts is superior, dude. You need those.
Yeah, for sure. It's more so I can report the data back to the AI and the computer will know what I'm doing out in the real world. All right. So experience. That's what you wanted to hear about, right?
Yep. Yeah. Why do people like it? Why do people like High Rocks? I know.
Right.
It's hype, dude. It's a freaking party. It's like Coachella of fitness.
It was that kind of.
It's less music. Or no.
More music. I think people did get stuck in line for like hours at a time. So I guess it's kind of like Coachella. But so I rolled in Friday night. It's kind of like the end of the pre-event registration. The venue was insanely large, so I had to like walk all over the place to figure out where I was going, but that's not their fault. That's just being in a huge convention center. Mm-hmm. I walked in, there was no line, just cruised right on up, showed them a barcode that they email you. They scan the QR code and it's like, here's your stuff. They give you your wristband. Cool. Sounds good. Your start time's 11. See you tomorrow. And then you get there and they have a bag drop that they basically will like valet a bag for you for the day. So you just take out whatever you need for your warm up and race. And then they just hold your stuff for you. They saran wrap it up, put your number on it. So it's all organized and safe. And then the warm up area has basically 8 to 12 of each implement, all spaced out really nicely. And then from there, you line up 10 minutes before your actual heat time. They basically yell it out. They're like, all right, guys, if you're here for the 11 o'clock, line up with your partner. And they walk you into the Red Bull tunnel. They essentially put up on a monitor, like a TV screen, like a safety briefing. Do I get any cool stuff with
Just-
registration? No, not that I was aware of. I got a patch. I got a Velcro patch for finishing. No t-shirts, anything like that. But Puma had an entire like merch store like set up, so you could get anything and everything you wanted. So once
buy
what?
anything? Did you
No,
buy
I
it?
didn't.
You
I
don't
did
have a
not.
sweet like High Rocks Racerback running tank top now?
No.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
All right. I was like, I'm not allowing this event to change my entire identity, so I don't need something that
I mean,
says
did
High
you
Rocks on
even
it.
go if it didn't change your identity?
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
There's so many people who are a High Rocks or a hybrid athlete now. They do one event. I'm a hybrid athlete.
Well, whenever the semifinal workouts came out, I said I'm gonna do 35-pound dumbbells in the overhead walking lunge and brag about my score online because I make my own rules as a hybrid athlete. So
You did say that.
All right. So far, checking everything's seamless. If you had to give them feedback on something not being good, right? Because so far it sounds great. Sounds amazing. What would be something they could improve on in that process up until the point of you getting into the corral?
I mean, seeing that, like, I mean, I showed up at a downtime. There was no line, but like I heard rumors that there was like a line for 60 to 90 minutes to register and check in for the race if you went in a peak time. So again, my experience was if you're gonna do the race, show up late. You know what I mean? Like
You
show up last minute or
you had to give them like something they could improve that would improve your experience. Like,
I mean, nothing really stands out, to be honest,
that, okay.
of the registration process.
Okay.
I think they provide so much information online if you actually have a question, and they have a help desk with 4 or 5 people there waiting just to answer questions. So it's
Right.
like if you really needed anything and you got lost along the way, they're right there for you if you need. So really it's pretty straightforward. They have a map of the course, of the exact course layout for that race on a 2-sided like 10-foot tall board, so you can just sort of see the layout. And then from there, that's what they offer at the registration is like a bunch of people ready to answer questions for you. They have a ton of like availability and lines and people ready so that when it is busy and chaotic, I'm sure they're churning through people really fast. And then from there, there's free bags. There's the Feed, which is like an online sports nutrition website. Like they're one of the main sponsors. There's free bags available if you want them. I didn't take them, but I thought it was just to carry stuff. Like they didn't give you much stuff anyways. So is what it is. And then from there, everything is laid out. And I showed up the day before, so I didn't really need to figure out anything in that moment. I showed up the next morning about 2 hours before my race, figured out some of the details then of like the bag drop and stuff and where the warm-up area was. And then from there, I just slowly warmed up, got in line, got in the Red Bull tunnel, and I still didn't know like the exact order. Like I read through the list, but I was like, I think this is how it's going to go. I think it's 2 laps of running. I hope they tell me before they say 3, 2, 1, go. And what I was going to get at before is they have this like basically safety briefing like type video, like all pre-done up with Red Bull characters and stuff.
Mhm.
And they play it up on the screen for 4 minutes, basically outlining the race, setting expectations of like how the flow is going to go. And then they do this like little group hype up, like in the tunnel. The MC brings a ton of energy. And I was telling CJ, if this lady had to do it every 10 minutes for the whole day, I'd feel terrible for her.
Yeah.
But at 11 a.m., she was still doing a great job. So I hope that they rotated on and off with MCs because, they brought a ton of energy in the tunnel. So I'm like, dude, that must be exhausting. Then about 2 minutes before the race, they shut everything off and say like, all right, we're going to give you a couple minutes to get focused, do what you need to do, step up to the start line. And then there's a screen above the start line that's basically giving you a countdown that whole time. So you know exactly when your heat's going to start. And then it goes right exactly at 11 and you just take off.
Sick. How was the race itself? What you got?
I think Atlanta's course was actually a little short, potentially. That's what some people were saying.
How was like the ease of use? Because we got a couple questions. Did you ever not know where to go with a sled versus the wall ball? Jacqueline says she did some extra laps. Like, did you ever have any confusion on where you were at or in the race itself?
I personally didn't. So they made it pretty clear at this race that they're for the run course to count your laps, you basically just go in the second time you come to the in archway. So there's an inlet to where the station work is, and then there's an out like tunnel. So basically a big archway, yellow, says in really, really bright and big, or large font and big. And then the out's the opposite side of the floor. And as long as you're continuing to run counterclockwise around the stations, like you're going to be just fine. And then the way I thought about it was I was using the Red Bull tunnel. And basically I told myself I need to run by the Red Bull tunnel or Red Bull sign twice. And then once I pass it the second time, the next time I see the in, I'm going in. It also, I think, helped that having a partner, because like in the tighter areas of the track, you know, like there's always people coming up on you on your left. I'm not the fastest runner there, so people were passing me. I was passing other people. So like you are navigating a group. So like having Danny there to be like, hey, heads up, someone's coming up, or like, oh, let's pass this guy. Like we, you know, it was good to like be able to work together in that group setting to like navigate the runs effectively. Along lines of not knowing where to go from a station standpoint, each station had a smaller version of that same in archway that I was trying to describe, and it has the number of the station on it. So if you know what station you just did, you should know what station's coming next, because you're like, oh, I just did number 3. Even if you don't know what the movement is, it's like, oh, I just did number 3. I need to look for the archway that says number 4, right? And they were outlined really seamlessly for about 1 through 4. And then once you get to 5, I think it skips over the wall ball station. So you have to go past the wall balls and then into 5. And then I think 6 was like all the way down at the end. So you had to like run past 8 and 7 to get to 6 all the way at the end. So like it wasn't exactly like laid out in order, but as long as you knew what station number you were supposed to be on, it was easy to find. But again, I didn't necessarily have a problem with any of that. What I had heard was some people were going in the opposite of Jacqueline's point of like running extra laps. A lot of people were just running in the first lap. So that was they eventually had someone standing at that tunnel asking every time you went in, this is your second lap, right? It's because apparently it happened enough times that they had to like straighten that up.
Yeah, I can see that. Sounds pretty good. I mean, you're going to do it again.
Yeah, I'll do it again. It's fine.
What do you think in general after doing it? And we talked a little bit about this, but like, I mean, I guess that makes sense. You already said it pairs really well with CrossFit, especially if you're strong. If you're not a strong person and this is going to be your primary choice of like activity or sign up event that you're going to challenge yourself and push yourself on, similar to like people who run marathons or half marathons, what would be your biggest piece of advice for people that are going to do that? Like they want to engage in like high rocks racing and do 1 to 2 a year. And then the rest of the year they're going to train. And the hope is that my hope is that they train in a CrossFit facility or a strength and conditioning facility with quality coaches, or they have us one-on-one coach them. But like, what would you know, you just did your first high rocks and you're like, okay, shit, I kind of want to do this. I like it. What's the next, what do you think the majority of people's next step needs to be in their training?
Are you saying just someone with a very low training age as a whole who is
And
not strong?
not you as
Or
an athlete. Just like, what do you think
no, or my next question was, or a runner who already is highly trained in running but is not strong?
Let's go with the runner, but I do think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just looking around, do you think there's more people in the midpoint where they're like decently good at running, decently strong, or is there just like a lot of runners?
Dude, it was all over the place. There were so many people
So
walking. There were so many people walking the course,
so let's do
because they weren't good runners.
Yeah, okay. So let's do the runners first. What you would tell them if they're already a pretty good runner, and let's say they ran all the 8Ks or 8Ks. They ran the 8K, all thousands. And then let's do somebody who's like walking. And what do you think from your perception is like first piece of advice of like where they're going to go with this? What do you want to try and do?
All right. Obviously, so for the runner who is a good runner, like let's say they can hold sub 8-minute pace without question. Like that's like their relatively like easy effort, sustainable effort. But they're not strong. Yeah, like they need to get strong. There's no way around it. And what I would do is I would probably utilize running as my easy work, just like base building maintenance work, or zone 2 to 3, just sort of sustainable aerobic efforts in a long, slow format, right? And then from there, I would probably use row, bike, ski, sleds, lunges, heavier barbells as interval format work to bring intensity. So I'd basically do CrossFit. I would do CrossFit interval work to help them become more powerful and repeatable. And I would probably utilize like an active rest of either a jog or a easy spin on a bike to help train the body to clear that waste. But if they're already aerobic, that's probably going to be relatively easy for them, but it's more about just exposing them to that, accumulate metabolites, accumulate waste products, clear that waste product out, repeat high intensity work. Yeah. I would probably do something like that in a preparatory phase. I'm not saying I wouldn't do that necessarily year round, right? Like there's going to be a balance and an approach to that depending on when and where you're at in your preparation for that specific event. How
and like
far,
who you are, right?
And who you are.
Even like you're saying, like you could get decently strong and decently good at running, but you still have to like train those two characteristics off and on so that you don't have a dampening effect across the year. Because you could train
off and on and together, right?
Yeah, like, I think most people are going to do what you're suggesting all year round.
Correct. That's a problem.
Yeah, I don't think they should do that. Like you should set aside some time in your life for like a base phase of running. So even if you're running an 8-minute mile, to improve your running and just put everything else by the wayside, still be doing intensity a couple times a week, but that's not the primary focus. Like if we lay it out a week, would you agree that like if you, let's say you train 5 days a week because you're a recreational high rocks CrossFitter, you're going to go 3 days a week of running of some fashion, and then 2 days a week of like strength or mixed machine CrossFit that you condense the movement selection. And that could be like an
it for the good runner.
Well, just both. Like you're gonna skew your time. So you're gonna
you're gonna skew your time one way or another. So what I would do is like pick 3 days a week for the weaker side of the spectrum. So like if you're already a really good runner, like I would probably do 3 days a week of strength work, 2 days a week of really easy long running. And then after the strength work days, you could add in either a mixed running interval session. So with like a sled or with some carries, with some other stuff, or you could add in just pure CrossFit intensity work that is going to, again,
like 4-minute AMRAPs, 3-minute AMRAPs.
Correct. Yeah.
Everything under 10 minutes with some rest that allows you to like really put out.
Correct.
Yeah. Cool.
And then the opposite side of it is like, say you need to improve your running side of, the equation of the spectrum, then you would run 3 days a week. You would probably utilize running more for your intensity. And then you would try to mitigate overuse injuries by using machine-based work for your easy, long, slow, because it's just less impactful on the joints if you're already putting out power and speed through the running work.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that people don't understand is that you either need to incorporate CrossFit style training with strength. Like when we say CrossFit style training, like Harley, we're talking about front squatting, back squatting, deadlifting with moderately heavy barbells and or heavy loading with like sandbags, heavier sled pushing, heavy dumbbell front squats, dumbbell box step overs, like heavy stuff, things that just make you like, oh, I don't want to do more than 5 reps of this. Like then it's heavy enough on the days that you're like not running so you can keep that strength. Or like you're saying, protect the running and go the other end if you're just trying to build a base and protect your joints and go lighter with the machine work and lighter things, but you still got to have intensity somewhere in there, which would be hard to do, especially if you're like running a lot of miles or kilometers a week. But some of these people are trying to get like 30 miles a week.
Yeah. And I think that if you're a really, like, if you're not a great runner, you need to work on your running, but you're also just not that strong either. Like, say you're just getting into it, I would definitely go through a really prolonged base building phase aerobically. And then on your other days of the week, I would probably do work that is more concentric focused with lower eccentric loading so that you're not like really sore and beat up going into the running sessions. Because like for example, if you did 5x5 back squat or worse, 3x10 back squat with a tempo, you're going to be so sore that you're not going to be able to run efficiently or effectively. Like your running economy is going to go down, which is actually probably going to be shooting yourself in the foot a little bit if you're trying to like utilize easy long distance running to improve economy and joint tolerance. Because if your legs are so sore that you're just like plopping along heavy legs like on the road every time you're running, you're probably not going to actually improve your positioning and posture. So like for example, what I'm thinking is like you would utilize the sled for your strength work. You would utilize power cleans doing drop singles. You would utilize speed-based lifts so that you're still loading the system pretty heavily, but without getting a ton of wear and tear on the musculature. You're just utilizing it more in like a speed-focused effort.
Yeah. And if you're more advanced in lifting, reverse bands and chains, like a conjugate method, would also help.
Because you're unloading the deepest
Down. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You're unloading when the weight's coming to the floor is what Harley's talking about. So the eccentric, you want to have assistance there. And then the concentric, the away from the floor with the load, you want to have no assistance and speed, which is hard to do because you could do that on machines for sure. Like like leg press and stuff, or like a Smith machine. But like in a CrossFit setting, yeah, that would be the way to do it. Especially if you're an advanced lifter like yourself. Like you're an advanced lifter, I would say. Not say you are an advanced lifter. Yeah, doing bands and chains would be very good for you to like ease off the joints. The other way I think too, what we've utilized and you've utilized is for people who are doing a similar thing is BFR training. Now it's not going to give you absolute strength training, but it will help with your muscle endurance and increase quote unquote mechanical tension stimulation by using blood flow restriction. So there's ways around like the point is like there's a lot of layers to all this because I love Harley's examples of using sleds and those things to increase your strength without having a lot of soreness and fatigue from that session going into the next running session. The other way you could do is like I think like a lot of people will go run, lift, run as their format. I think some people might want to try doing run, run, lift. So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, run Monday, run Tuesday, lift Wednesday, rest day Thursday. If you're doing the three on, one off, 2 on, 1 off, like a lot of people do. And then same thing Friday, you could even lift back to back. You could do a lower body focused Wednesday, rest, and then upper and lower body Friday. So obviously the loading,
or even just like upper and midline stabilization.
Yeah,
And so you can then transfer it. Yeah. So then you have 2 days of rest after your lower body work before you're going back to running.
Yeah. And so changing that structure is huge, right? So like, I think that's the other thing that people don't think about, like in their fitness choice and this whole thing of like CrossFit and High Rocks and what we're throwing things together. And like that simple of a evaluation of your training structure. We're not even talking about the X's and O's. We're just talking about the days in which you're choosing an intensity zone, meaning or movement selection matters, which is crazy to me sometimes. Like when people don't even think, because most of the people we're talking to, you're beyond the something is better than the nothing, right? The people we're talking to have already done a High Rocks race or you're in a CrossFit gym and you want to dabble in these things. So now we're talking about details and getting really specific and breaking things down so you can have a better outcome, a higher result. We're not trying to convince you to get off the couch and run a 5K. Like you're already doing that. So like taking control and autonomy of what you're doing is hopefully what we're trying to encourage you to do and give you some things here. Because I love the High Rocks and the CrossFit. I think they all are really great together. And there's ways to manipulate it to make you really insanely fit. Like that's why I put like fitness lifestyle as like our coach's corner. And we were going to talk about the semifinals, but it's where we're at. I think, it's the development of ourselves too. Cause Harley, you're a high level athlete who competed at semifinals, team, individual. And like you may come back to that one day and do masters or another team thing. And there's a lot of opportunity for you to do that. Same thing like myself. You know, all of us could, I always say, and even though I take flack, anyone could go to the CrossFit games. It's just, it might take a little bit more from you than somebody else, but that pursuit or like being a high level high roxer and getting first in high rocks, that pursuit is really, really challenging and would take so much from you. But if you get, let's say 10% of that mindset, you can have a really good time and build your body and your fitness to be amazing, you know?
Yeah, nothing but good things come from big goals. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you gotta stack it right. You know, you gotta sit back and take a really smart approach to what you're doing. Cause I watch so many people in both CrossFit and now even in the high rocks. Like we got these people coming in and I've watched them. We got this one guy, Fernando, who's amazing on the running and some of the other implements. And just like he was really bad at the wall balls. And he does wall balls like every day. I don't think that's a really good approach, but I watch him do them and I just chuckle. I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. It's extra volume. But his strength wouldn't, and I've talked to him and Marissa's talked to him and he's getting stronger. And his strength, as it's going to improve, he's going to do really well in the masters divisions of high rocks. And he's already done really well. So what we're doing is trying to give him like 5% better so he can get up there in like the top 10 at a race. And like, I think people think it's like this huge thing that you got to change, but it's really not. It's like 1% here, 1% there. And this was even something I talked to the on-site people about on Saturday was that, you know, you're beyond this, like you make one change as a GPP person coming in the gym or general exerciser at any gym, you make a 10% change to something, you're gonna like you start eating vegetables because you don't eat vegetables. That's going to be a huge impact. That's going to be like a 40% change in your fitness. But people at the end of the funnel don't even know that you could run Monday, Tuesday, and then lift Wednesday. Like that could be a 1% change in recovery, but it's going to be immense in their like domination of the chosen thing, you know? And they're just not thinking about that because it's like, well, I do, you know, I run, then I lift, then I run, then I lift. Or you got some people who are doing double sessions. I know there are a lot of like hobbyists who I see run and then lift weights, or like parents, they'll like go out for a run and then take the kids to school and then they'll like lift and then they'll go to work. And it's like you just dampen both those effects. But because they don't know and they don't want to choose to like educate or communicate with a coach or whatever, uh, they're missing out on a lot. And so it goes way beyond this, you know, just move your body. And I want people to start thinking that way a little bit more.
Yeah. One thing I don't think I ever said, I think I said it before we went live, was why is High Rocks successful? Like, why is it doing so well? Like I kind of like talked through like the race and like the flow and the registration poorly, but I talked about it.
That's fine. People just had questions. This is what Nate's saying. He's like, ooh, High Rocks talk. It's taking over.
Um, I think that it's very obvious once you see it in person why it's so successful. They have packaged this experience, I would argue, like borderline perfectly. Like it's so precise. The entire day, the operation, the flow, the tone, the messaging, the experience, everyone is in the room is just celebrating their fitness, right?
Mhm.
The ability to move their body. There's everyone that from the guy that's like shuffling along, walk jogging the runs in lap 4 on because he is just so wrecked and doesn't have it. And like the guys that are like KT taped head to toe going to battle, to like Tia Toomey and James Newberry doing it twice in under an hour. Like there's everyone in between that. And everyone's having the exact same quality of experience and tone and support from everyone around them. Like the spectators, there's a rows of people all the way along the entire base run course, just shoulder to shoulder cheering people on. Yeah, some are just cheering on their friends. Others are just like cheering on every single person that runs by. I ran by the same dude who gave me a fist bump 4 laps in a row, and he's like, good fucking pace, good pace, let's go. Like just hyped the
Right.
whole time. Every time I ran by him, complete stranger. And I'm pretty sure he did that for every single person that ran by him. I'm like, I have no idea how you have that much energy, but he was bringing it, you know?
Yeah.
So like, and that was just the tone. Everyone was just happy to be there. And so overall, Like, I don't see how you hate on the organization and the event itself because they just did a good job, right? If
Yeah.
you don't like running, you don't like endurance, A-okay.
Yeah,
Like,
stick with CrossFit. It's fine.
stick with CrossFit, all good. You you know, for the people who criticize the people who are not squatting to depth and are just terrible at
Yeah,
squatting, it's like that's picking on someone's movement quality because they have poor fitness or poor mobility or something else going on, right? Like,
well, they just don't know. I
or they
mean,
just don't know. Yeah,
we coach inside of a gym. How many people come in with fitness backgrounds and don't squat below parallel, right?
many.
Yeah.
And you go to any local comp, you'll see people who move poorly. Like,
Yeah.
you can't criticize the organization or the event because a percentage of the participants, given it's a lot of
I mean, you can, it
people.
doesn't make you right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But it's like you think about how many people there was probably 4,000 participants on Saturday alone.
Yeah.
There was 860 men in the division I did on Saturday alone. Like, you have 4,000 people run through an event and the entire thing is on time and like executed arguably perfectly.
Yeah.
Pretty dang impressive. And it's like, yeah, you have, let's say 5% of people are moving poorly, 10% of people are moving poorly. It looks bad because you have 400 people moving poorly, but out
Yeah.
of 4,000, like,
Right. Right.
dude, it's not
Yeah. I
nothing.
mean, I would say the same thing in CrossFit though. You think about it in those terms, it's a few people and then they get grossly highlighted and you think everyone's doing it, which they're not. So
Correct.
like same thing in High Rocks. Like Hiller's been all over it. And it's like that's like a few people, dude. Like chill. Um, I think that the biggest thing is like if you listen to the Sport of Business or the Business of Sport podcast, they had the High Rocks owners on, and they've done exactly what you felt. Like they wanted to make a fitness experience that is like no other. And they've done CrossFit. They know of CrossFit. They talk about it. I think one of them might have even owned an affiliate at one time, but they they know what the community brings to CrossFit and that experience and like what you described. Because the old days, and you know this, Harley, too, the nostalgia of CrossFit days, that's where like the fire breathers came from and the cheering and clapping till the last person's finished. Like that culture has been ingrained into CrossFit. And I think it's everywhere in all sport and athletics. It just gets more highlighted when you have a vast majority of people doing something that's challenging together, and it brings out the best in people, in community, in tribe, and they're all there for one common goal. And the common goal in High Rocks is to run the race and see what you're made of, for 99.9% of the people there, which was the same like ethos with CrossFit originally, even at the games level. And so what they did was they just took that general idea and then neatly packaged it, because one of the owners of High Rocks is one of the best event organizers well, now he's the best event organizer for High Rocks, but originally was one of the best event organizers in Germany and did all these events. And so they've leveraged that knowledge and experience over the years to give you the experience that you're seeing. So like to Nate's point, yeah, it's taking over, and it's taking over because they've taken a fitness a fitness race, and packaged it so well that it would be stupid of us as coaches and affiliate owners to ignore it and not bring it in, because
And
you're not going to help people. Yeah. And I don't know what you're going to say, but not help people go into this thing because it's going to help move their body and push the needle on health and wellness greater than just living in the High Rock or the CrossFit world, which is doing the same thing. It's just a different style.
yeah. And what I was going to say is that one, why wouldn't we hype up the ability for more people to move their body, right? Why would we not praise another opportunity to just come together and celebrate fitness and be stoked and like just work towards something? Like,
Yeah.
because as we talked about with goals, like goals guide your direction of training. It gives you a why of why you're in the gym every day on top of just being healthier. Like, only good things come from setting goals, and like this is just another opportunity to pursue something and
Yeah.
change it up.
And it's different than like a marathon. Like I like people running marathons. I like triathlons, I like everything else. We'll bring up CrossFit's comments.
That was my next point.
But I didn't even read it, but I think I like it for me because it is like what Carlos was talking about. It's a few characteristics. You need power, you need speed, you need endurance, and you need strength. Now, maybe not as much as a CrossFitter needs, but because you need those things, I think it's valuable of us investing in it all of us, everybody in the fitness space who believes in having a balance of strength, endurance to be fit and healthy for the long term. Whereas like a marathon race or a Ironman, even though it is really challenging, it is pure aerobic system, and you're missing out on a lot of biological factors that create health and longevity. And for me, it falls in the line and meets the major buckets and requirements of health and longevity. So I'm going to stand behind both these things and like wave the flag around and argue with people who think otherwise. Let's see what CrossFit said, because sadly CrossFit rarely praise that stuff outside or maybe weightlifting meet. Yeah.
So this is one thing I didn't say was, okay, James and Tia run across the finish line. The MC is like, the CrossFit Games athletes did it again. They set a PR of 53 minutes or whatever happened, right? Like, and they literally said CrossFit out loud over the speaker, acknowledge their accolades in a positive way.
Nice.
It's not like, oh, these CrossFitters are coming and stealing our thunder. It's like, no, they're just like, let's go. Like, they're doing it. And it's like, because on the other side of it, CrossFit would never do that. It was like, you know, as an organization, they hardly ever looked at other things and said, look how cool this is, other than like the liftoff.
Mm-hmm.
Old HQ would sue for that. That's nice.
It was
basically, dude, like
you would have sent them a cease and desist. Don't ever say that word.
Don't ever say our name at your
event. What was that show? Titans? Was it Titans?
I don't know.
That had Matt Chan, Danny Spiegel, like all the CrossFitters won it, and they weren't even saying the word CrossFit. Like I was upset as an affiliate owner that they're not just saying the word CrossFit. Like just say it's CrossFit. Wild. You know?
Or was it American Gladiators?
No, it's Titan Games.
Yeah, it was the Titan Games. Yeah.
Okay.
CrossFit has our back. Yeah, it was Titan Games. But like all they had to do was like, yeah, these people train CrossFit. That's why they're winning. It's great because it like I said, it is. I don't want to say superior fitness. It's complete fitness. CrossFit is complete fitness in the structure of a class, in the structure of a training program that you buy online.
For sure.
All of the CrossFit programs are complete. You don't need any more, any less, unless you're going to have specific demands of doing a powerlifting meet or strongman or an Ironman or high rocks, and the running is hard for you. Even then, once you get the running dialed in, you can continue to do CrossFit, a lot of it, and still be good at high rocks. You just need to make sure.
If you have a balanced training, you can improve CrossFit while improving your running.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of it.
What's crazy too is like we talk about this all the time. The 5K run is the most programmed workout on .com. And then the argument of the 800-meter run for the teams is that, hey, running is a staple in CrossFit. And somewhere along the way, it's been lost in like these qualifiers and these program designs. And there's other arguments to that run, and we won't get into that. But one of the things by Adrian Bosman was said about that is like, it's a staple in CrossFit. So we need to test running. And if you're going to have people go right from, even though they did shuttle runs for the individuals, but anyways, you need to test running to have these people get to the games, you know? And I think that's fair. And I do think we need to test running way more to make it. And even coming from somebody who hated running, I used to walk. We told this story on the weekend to the onset. I used to walk in workouts, dude, in sundown days, like the first affiliate, because I knew once I got inside, I could do whatever in the CrossFit, and like that would save me. Whereas I'd like jog so slow and like walk. And Heather was laughing when I was telling the story because she goes, "Yeah, I remember being like, come on, Todd, let's go." And now I don't have that problem. But like,
you were probably like, "Hey, Rich walked. I'll do it too."
100%. I was like, Rich walk. I was like, whatever. But you know, it is a staple, and it's something that maybe early on, it's like double unders, you know, you just accept it, and eventually you'll get better and just like embrace it. No way. Let's see. What did Cody say? No way, Harley and you are yanking my chain right now. On what? What are we yanking your chain on?
Saying like you can get better at CrossFit while improving your running.
Oh yeah. Generally, specifically for Cody, probably not. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna make a jab like that, but I decided to bite my tongue.
I'm just saying in general, right? If you got someone like Meg needs to get stronger, she shouldn't be running if she's trying to get stronger.
Correct.
You know, if that's the bigger deficit, we need to, even though you need to get better at your running, but your strength needs to improve. So we can't be doing both at the same time when you're that far down the funnel. So we're not yanking your chain. You're just different. All right, what CrossFit say? I was fat and literally signed up for CrossFit because I hated running just to run. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I think we spent a lot of time talking about it, but it's cool. Like that's the fitness lifestyle that we're going towards, and the evolution of, I think a lot because of CrossFit has evolved. Hyrox is coming out. We've been through a lot of different things, like even Noah, and we should have you talk about this on a call where you're doing like the SWAT team stuff and like the special teams and everything. But like your fitness is evolving around the needs of what you're doing, and for most recreational exercisers, even competitive athletes, really the needs are going to be based on whatever it is that your goal, like what Harley's saying about the goals and having a goal, is going to be defined by that. And as you move through life, those needs are going to shift and change. And having an option of high rocks where you could come into the gym and run a station for 45 to 60 minutes that has cardiovascular movements, strength movements, and you just be continual, you get in and get out, is going to be much better than you trying to hit CrossFit class and learn all these skills when you have a busy time in your life. And then when, the season changes and you can come in and do strength stuff, enjoy the class, do some metcons, work on your snatching and your gymnastic skills and that strength, it's good to do that and bounce around. And I think most CrossFit gyms should embrace this and become a Hyrox and a CrossFit affiliate.
So I was just thinking about a few things, like as you were talking about SWAT teams, and then I was just thinking about just general functional fitness and OPEX, and we were talking a lot about like what people need for their specific demand, but like even for people who are just trying to be fit, healthy, and like be better versions of themselves and more functional in life, I think things like high rocks fit into, a necessity of like, you need to eat your veggies. Like, you may not always like it. Not everyone likes vegetables, but we all can agree that they're good for you, right? So I think going long, doing aerobic work, doing carries, doing lightly loaded sleds, or moderately loaded sleds, like all of those things fall into a bucket of necessity more so than looking at it and being like, well, I don't like high rocks, so I don't want to do high rocks, so I'm never going to do those things.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about you talking about Noah doing a SWAT team or a tactical type of team approach. I've trained someone for the physical aptitude test for a SWAT team. He was a sheriff in Central California. And I want to say that one of the tests was like running with their vest on into heavy farmer carries, into burpees over an object, into shooting. And I was like, that's, in the simplest terms, like a tactical version of high rocks. Like, it's tactical games, you know what I mean? Like, tactical games is obviously its whole own other little branch of the industry, but like that is still functional fitness in the terms of performing work across, broad times and
multimodal domains.
Oh my God.
And that's what's so funny is like people are like, oh, CrossFit didn't invent like fitness or whatever, or they didn't invent whatever. And people argue about that back and forth, but it's like, no, they actually did. And then these derivatives are coming from that basic combination of things in a well thought out, when you read the CrossFit Journal and you educate yourself, like principle based thing. And that's why, we have the joke from CrossFit about like CrossFit kicking people out or sending cease and desist letters. And like a lot of that has to do with they were protecting the brand to make sure that people understand that, hey, look, we didn't invent these things, or we didn't invent the snatch clean and jerk, but we took it and we put it in a setting that gave this unique response and adaptation that no one else has done. So right now we need you to fall in line and give us credit where credit's due so our brand could build and grow. So I don't fault them for doing that. I do think like as it kept going on, and maybe, the Black Box Summit where they threw everybody out and they argued with people and kicked out John Wellborn and his beef with CrossFit and everything else. So like, and even, Greg Everett, his beef with CrossFit, he's talked about that in podcasts like in 2016. And like those things didn't need to happen. What needed to happen was a better explanation of like, hey, look, we've taken these things, we've created this method. It's based on your principles. And that's why you're upset, because we're using principles of weightlifting, endurance, and putting them all together and then figuring out what works, what doesn't work. We're putting things in, throwing things out. Like on a small example here in the gym, working with elite athletes versus general population people, and then people with a historical background. I have a lot of gymnasts that try to explain to me on how to handstand walk the better way, and even CC's tried to like talk, and I'm like, look, I get it, but the way that you've been taught for gymnastics aesthetics, deductions of points in gymnastics, and stacking, and then looking at the demands of CrossFit where you need to move for speed and time. Sure, there are similarities, but you're so far off in the other direction because of your unique background that you needed to have, but you don't quite understand how it's applied and this and what's applied and what's not applied to be specific to get people to be successful in the sport of fitness. And sometimes people can't drop that thought process. And I think early on, that's what happened, is butting of the heads of like CrossFit saying, hey, yes, but also no. And you need to open up your mind a little bit and understand this. And then they just a lot of friction. And especially because Greg Everett has talked about this specifically in the weightlifting category of, hey, no, this is how you snatch clean and jerk. You don't do it like this. You don't do it like that. But then you watch some of the elite level athletes and snatching correctly and clean and jerking correctly made them better 100%. But think of all the people like Harley yourself, anthropometrics wise, are you meant to snatch a barbell? No. But can you snatch a barbell and do it very well? Yes. So because of that variation and deviation and how you're coaching people, there's a lot there that has to be manipulated and massaged because we have a large mass group of people who not only need to snatch really heavy, also need to snatch super light as fast as they can. Olympic weightlifters don't understand that other end of the spectrum at all, nor is it allowable. And that's where like a lot of the butting heads came from. But once you start learning that and go, okay, I want to see the value here and take this, and I want to see the value here, and this is what we're trying to achieve, then you're good with it. I just don't think anybody was grown enough to sit down and have that conversation. You know, and I bring up the gymnastics thing because I do fight with people in the gym to this day. I'm like, you're not wrong. That's how you do it in gymnastics, but that is not how you're going to be successful out here on the floor. So we need to take that base of knowledge and pair it with what you're trying to do and make it better. And like, I still, sometimes I'm like the bad guy because I said that's not how you handstand walk.
Well, it's just variability in movement for the demands of your sport, right? So
Right.
like if you're forced, like you already talked about, walk for speed, but also distance and in a very dense format, you know, under duress from other movements, you're going to be breathing really heavy. You need to be
Gymnasts have
able to,
no idea
you
what
need
that's
to
like until they
transmit
do.
oxygen effectively. And it, unfortunately, a perfect hollow position, stacked pencil handstand walk with max tension, yeah, it's good in a controlled setting and a poor quality setting. If you're hyperventilating, holding your tension to that degree and potentially holding your breath's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I think that's what happens. And we need to be, and if more people are being very open-minded, but I
the
just wanted to tell Nate, cause he's listening, about the high rocks and they're taking over. They are, it's a good way to train.
yeah, and then talking about the black box, like another guy got blacklisted, OPEX, right? Like whatever, Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like he, you know, their methodology when we start talking about base building, the base building phase, what types of stuff are they doing? 60-minute AMRAPs, farmer carry, rowing,
They were doing high
running.
rocks before it was
They
high
were
rocks.
doing high rocks 15 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was, you know, like it's just long, slow, sustained work for the sake
Well,
of
OPT
building an
started
aerobic
in
base.
2004. So they've been doing it for almost 20 years.
Well, yeah, I was just talking
The
about like
OPT
when
is
did the
started.
CCP course come out? That was more like what I was talking about, like
Sure.
probably like
As far as like
15, 20 years
selling
ago.
education.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say 20 years ago.
So they've been educating that same thought process, movement combinations, aerobic sustained work for the sake of building a more robust aerobic system for 20 years. Like, and then we act surprised when High Rocks comes out and it's like, it's not CrossFit. Well, it's like, you can make the argument that OPEX isn't CrossFit either, but at the same time, it's still well-rounded mixed modality fitness. Like,
Yeah. We made a strong argument.
we made an argument.
Yeah. Well, do you guys like, speaking of like things, rebuttals, CrossFit posted their, CrossFit doesn't make athletes more athletic post or article. They repost an article that's an old article about that because like John Wellborn and what's the starting strength? They've been attacking CrossFit, saying that CrossFit has said that it makes people more athletic, which is not true. And so that today, I think it was today or yesterday, they posted the old article of Greg a long time ago saying that it doesn't make you more athletic. It can if you do some certain things, but it doesn't in the raw nature of it. It just builds your capacity, which allows you to express your either natural or learned athleticism. It's pretty funny.
Checks out.
Yeah, it checks out. It's pretty funny that that's getting posted though, because of the internet buzz. It's in line with what we started the call with, of like just course correcting people in the fitness space. Because it's okay for people to have their opinion about, they said CrossFit makes people more athletic. And then it's like course correcting, like, no, they never said that. Some people might have said that, but they've never said that. And here's the article to back that up, which is good. Because CrossFit can't make. I watch a lot of people who are not athletic do really good CrossFit.
Have you ever seen Jason Kalipa shoot a basketball?
Yeah. He's, oh my God. That's why he's the California Bear. He's just the bear, the
Pretty
big
sure
bear.
he put a hole through the backboard.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not. He's God, he was so good at CrossFit though. He was.
It's because he trains hard, bro.
Anyways, we're going to talk about the CrossFit semifinal events, but I don't know.
Nah,
I don't think we need to.
I don't think we need to. They're hard.
What's your? If you haven't looked them up, you guys look them up for yourself. They're fun to look up. I will say, I hate that I just said that. The workout, I think it's workout 3 with the clean and jerk shuttles.
That's 4.
Okay, workout 4 on the PDF, and a lot of people have glossed over this on the internet, so I want to bring it up on the internet. If you don't do any burpees, you are out. You're done. That workout is over for you. So it's 5 rounds. You got to do 10 shuttles, 10 clean and jerks, and then at least 1 burpee every round, or else it's over.
Do you think it's going to get to a point where you have, like, people are going to be so blown up they have to touch and go reps to get that 1 burpee?
They're going to have to, or the workout's done. Dude,
I'm saying like touch and go the barbell. Like, it's the rate of travel.
Listen. Cody and I had a good chuckle today.
Did you guys test it? Did you guys test 1 round?
We had the girls who were going to do it test. Is that Noah? Yeah, it was Noah. If we had the girls do 1 minute on, 1 minute off of 10 shuttles for 5 rounds. And in the beginning, it was like 51 seconds. And then it got to like 58 seconds. And they were on fire. And I'm like, dude, now you got to do 10 clean and jerks and get burpees. It's going to be wild. But I do like, because I've said, and I told Cody, we were watching, and I was like, look, and their technique can improve. We went over that with them a little bit. And like, they're not going to make improvements from now until Friday on that. It's going to be like a whole 6 months of change and like really ingraining that, especially once you've gotten fatigued, to maintain that technique. But we were watching and I was like, see, man, what I tell you, 9 a minute. Remember I said, you got to be training 9 a minute. Cause like that.
I said the average, I've told Celine the average slow rate of travel is 8 a minute. Like that's slow. Like that's like a smooth, sustainable. So I was like, you need to do 2. I was like, go practice 10 shuttle runs at a time and go as fast as you can. And then go as slow as you can, and then see the difference of time and figure out where that middle ground is, where you're going to be able to, where you're going to function.
There's no functioning. There's no middle ground. I love that they did that for that workout, for the sole fact of like, it is going to light you up and there is nothing you can do, or you get a 0. I love it. And you can't do that often.
You don't get a 0. You get,
well, you get whatever reps you got.
Yeah. Like say you got 10 burpees total, like your score is 10.
If you don't get a burpee, like let's say in the 3rd or 4th round, then like your workout's over.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that. I don't think you can do that in training. There's not other ways that you can really like induce that in training, to be honest, because it means more, because it is a qualifier and they are going to push themselves. But yeah, you might have to touch and go reps, fast single, like you got.
Kyle Spears posted a very brief clip of him talking about that workout. And he's like, oh, I had a guy test it. He ran 10 shoulder runs exactly at a minute. He did 1 clean and jerk every 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I was telling them today.
And he's like, he's super fit. He took top 50 in the world in the dumbbell hang clean and jerk and burpee workout, 25-1. He took top 50 in the world. And he apparently was just huffing and puffing, hyperventilating.
Yeah, it's going to be
by the end of the 10. I'm like, dude, that guy still had 20 seconds to do burpees, and then you get 1 minute rest, go again.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be murder. I like it. That one's my favorite one out of all of them, as far as like what it's asking of the people and leveling up, because I love feeling vindicated. I told people 9 shuttles a minute is like where you got to live. And people are like, no. There you go. Should have listened.
You
could
can
have listened
walk 7.5 a minute.
You could have
If you,
listened 7 months ago and been ready. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So everybody listening to this now at an hour and 19 in, 9 shuttles a minute. Just practice. Yeah, I think that's it. The other ones are pretty straightforward. 30 minutes
aren't going to help your high rocks though.
Yeah, they will. For sure it will.
I'm just
30
kidding.
minute, the 30-minute AMRAP, dude. 30 minutes though. Talk about those
Easy.
videos.
Easy, dude.
I just put the videos, man. 30
No one's
minutes.
going to be able to upload a video.
Woo. Yeah, you got to have your YouTube like just monetized out. 30 minutes. That's a cool workout though. What other notable things from those workouts? Generally, they're cool.
That
Like
30-minute one, you get to go slow. You're gonna feel slow in round 1, and it's gonna feel bad in round 3.
oh yeah, I said round 3, like minimum of round 3 for a lot of people is a lot. You're gonna be 18 rope climbs in, dude.
It's a lot of volume, and it's obviously very dense in the musculature that you're compounding upon, right? Obvious, like
Well, you also got to row a 3K, which at 2-minute pace is 12 minutes of the 30 minutes.
Well, what I was saying was like even for like a female athlete, like rowing conservatively, like say you hold a 210 per 500 to just like maximize the other movements. It's like that's a 420 per 1,000. Then
Right.
let's say you're a machine and you go 10-second transition and then you do 20 toes to bar a minute. So you're at, you know what I mean? Like that's 5 every 15 seconds. Like you don't have to go huge to do that, but you have to be very disciplined. Like you're already at 6 minutes by the end of the toes to bar. And then say you do 1 rope climb every 20 seconds. That's 3 a minute. Again, got to be a machine. Like that's very consistent. You're still like, let's say that's 2 minutes there. So you're at 8 minutes a round. You're 3 rounds plus some rowing.
Yeah, 24 minutes. Yeah, you're done with 3 rounds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd be at 28 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you got
So
whatever.
you're in the 4th round. Sorry, I misspoke there.
No, I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, that thing, you talk about high rocks, like this whole podcast, like that's a high rocks workout, dude. You're gonna be doing half of the workout is rowing, just like in high rocks, half of the workout is running.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, aerobic capacity. But yeah, the snatch thing wasn't surprising. I've had people doing progressions for that. I figured they would do it. You would be silly if not to have had your athletes be trying to train unless they had a reason they couldn't. The 30 snatches for time at a heavy load. And then
how heavy do you think that is for the, like, because it's 1,200 people, dude. There was no heavy snatching tested. How many people can't do it? How many zeros are put in?
Well, here's what I was talking about, and probably a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of people. So, like, you look at the teams. There was 100 and I want to say 41 teams that signed up, and there were 123 scores submission worldwide this year. That was the teams. So there was a high probability and likelihood that people could make it into the games at 20%. Like you're at a 18% just by signing up chance of you making it to the games. So that's pretty good odds, like right off the bat, just by signing up. I think the similar things that happen. I think there are a lot of people who have already paid registration and signed up before the workouts. And there are going to be a lot of people who don't put in scores in general.
I told Celine the same thing. I was like, I think so many people are just not going to participate. The workouts came out. I said it to you guys via the group chat, and I was like, yeah, dude, everyone wants to be a semifinal athlete until it's time to be a semifinal athlete. Like,
well, that's
these workouts are reflective of what you would see at an in-person semifinal. Right. The level of like barrier to entry it's a semifinal event.
Yep.
Like, even though that's 1,200 people and it's online, they're like, nope, we're going to bring that level of fitness.
Yeah. I mean, I had the meeting with the girls today. We're doing some prep and stuff. And I told them the exact same thing you're talking about. And like, that's the reward. Like, you know, everybody wants, not everyone, but people who pursue this say, I want to make it to semifinals or I want to make it to the games. And I think, yeah, the reward is in the work, honestly. And we talk about that all the time. Everybody talks about that. But let's just like look at the end result thing. For I think most people who aren't like super competitors, their reward is the accolade of getting it. Like, I'm a semifinal athlete. Here's my t-shirt. I went this year. For sure. There's that level. We can't deny that is a reward, right? But as a coach, I'm like, the real reward actually is the workouts. Like those workouts that you go to regionals, you look historically, like do a regional workout, do 6 regional workouts, pick one of the regionals from the old regional years, or pick one of the semifinals that were done by CrossFit or Syndicate Crown or Mac. Don't do like the some of the other ones, because like the Alice Games one was weird. Don't do any of those.
You can do Grand Games.
Yeah, you can do Grand Games, but do those workouts in a 3-day period if you're capable, and like tell me how you feel. But that is the reward. The reward is like you now get to try very challenging things. It's the same thing with the games, even though people don't talk about it enough. The reward of going to the games for a lot of people is, and actually people do talk about it, it's the odd objects, the heavy implements. Games training is so fun. You hear people say that. And it's the same thing. Like your real reward is that level up progression of the workouts themselves.
For sure.
And you're going to get it. That's what the coolest thing is. Like if you were in the 1200 this year, sure, it's a big net, but you got exactly what you've always wanted.
For sure.
In my opinion, the athletes that tell me I want to make it to semifinals, cool. Set up your gym, have all your members come in, have a arena style tennis stadium every day. Ask all your friends and family to come support you, and like we'll set it up and we'll go time. Like even these girls I was talking today, I was like, I'm gonna figure out. I can do it on Photoshop, but I'm gonna make banners for them, and just like how you like your banners out there, I'm gonna make banners for them and hang their banners for making it to semifinals. They're semifinal individual athletes, and that's what we'll do to honor them and like give the notary to them of like they did it. But like the real win is doing these hard ass workouts and getting your teeth kicked in. You know what I mean? And you got to enjoy it and like live it. Like this is what you're doing.
To answer CJ's question, no.
Let's see. If someone qualifies for online semifinal, but they don't actually do the workouts, can they actually claim to be a semifinals athlete? No, they need to sign up, pay their money, buy their t-shirt. You get a semifinal t-shirt. It's actually cool. I got one because I was the alternate for the team. So I'm not actually a semifinal athlete this year because I didn't do the workouts.
So
and then you got to do
down. The honor is stepping into the arena. The honor is showing up and like doing it.
Yep. You got to do the work.
Yeah. There's no other way.
All the workouts. And I don't even care. I'll let it slide. You don't even got to post your videos. I mean, you're going to get 0 from CrossFit if you don't post videos. So make sure you
post your intro and be like, "What's up, dude?" And then boop. Then like don't even show your workout. It doesn't matter. But like
you don't want to watch this. I'm 500. But yeah, I mean, you have to do the workouts, and you have to. I would argue if you really want to test yourself and feel what it feels like, you do them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you try to set up a schedule that mimics semifinals and feel what the game feels like. That's what you've been training for. That's why you do this to that extreme level. Because if you're not going to do it, go to class.
Why do you train this hard?
Yeah, go to class. And if you're a hobbyist like myself who likes a competitive style training program, because I only do 90 minutes. So do your class and then add some, or hire one of us who can help you manipulate your training. So you do an hour plus some and get better and enjoy what you're doing. And we make it the right way and it fills you up. Or you do class and we give you some extra stuff, or you add stuff on your own. But at the end of the day, like any more than that, you don't need it. You don't need to be in here 2 to 3 hours of training, killing yourself, learn all these high skills and everything else. If you're not going to get up, you make the 1200 and like crush your soul in these workouts.
All right. I got a dentist appointment, so I got to wrap it up. But
again? Jeez Louise.
Yeah, Linnell says my teeth aren't straight. So I've been getting Invisalign stuff.
Oh, all right.
All righty.
That's cool. But anyways, that rounds it out. So anybody who's not signed up and not doing it but made it.
If you made it and don't do it, unless you have a really damn good reason, like you're going to another event of an equal level, then you're going to just be taking away opportunity from others that wanted it more than you do.
That's
true. There's only one person in my mind that has my graces to not do it. But otherwise, if you made it, do it.
All right.
All right. Bye.
First. See ya. Get your teeth straight. All right, gentlemen. Anything else to add to that?
Nope.
More.
I think y'all hit it on the head.
Any High Rocks additions?
Like in what way?
No, I don't know. This will probably be our last conversation about High Rocks though, because it's now just integrated. It's all the same.
No, I think y'all hit it on the head. Y'all definitely got me wanting to do one. That's for sure. Oh my golly, they make it seem so much.
Well,
fun.
I didn't even talk about how yesterday I did the Go Ruck or not Go Ruck.
Yo, yeah, you did the ruck
Racing League. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was like, I was on my phone. I was like, oh man, I got to get this score in. Like I didn't sign up but I wanted to do it, and it's one challenge a month. And I was talking about it, and I was doing some of the training and some of the practice for it.
Yeah.
And then the workout came out, and I was like, oh my god, because it was 60-minute max meters at 20% of your body weight, and I'm like, I'm so heavy. This is going to be a 42-pound. So I kind of like was like, I'm not going to do it. And then yesterday I was like, I should just do this. So I signed up and then just went out, loaded up the bag, weighed it, and hit it. And I didn't really. I was like, oh man, I was trying to run it first. And talking about like training for stuff, like I didn't train anything heavier than like 20 pounds because I just didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't think. I don't know. I'm learning. New experience. So
dude,
it was heavy, and I was
Yeah.
like, at first I tried to run. I was like, this is not it. Like I'm just gonna. So then I was like power walking, and I was just like, okay, like I guess this is it. This is where I'm at for the hour. I'm just gonna try and power walk.
Yeah.
And then I started like you're playing with the movement. You're getting some exposure to it.
Yeah.
And like 12 minutes left, I figured out finally how to like keep my hip flexed, bend my knees a little bit more, and like shuffle. So I was like almost at a pretty good run. And I brought my average time down. And then I was like, damn it, if I could have figured this out sooner, I could have tried to get like 4 miles.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I might be able to get. So because I was on pace by my, because you use Strava, I was on pace to do 3 miles, 3.66 miles. And then the 12-minute mark, I figured out how to go better, do it better technique. And I bumped it up to 3.81. So like, yeah, just with a better technique, definitely could have got the full 4 miles, which is still not great relative to some of these people on here. Then I found out by putting my score in, this was kind of wild. There are like, how like there's like run clubs. There's like rucking clubs in the world. This is crazy. A whole subset of people out there just rucking the way that you have like a run club. And
I think it really started whenever have you read The Comfort Crisis or listened to the audiobook?
Listen to audiobook, yeah.
Dude, I think it kind of started around then, whenever people started reading that. I don't even think it came out or started whenever
I think because of
became a thing.
Yeah, I think because of buds training, and like military training, I think a lot of people do it.
Sure, but you didn't see like the moms doing it or like the grandmas doing it. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
I hear more about grandmas doing this. Like they just get, like their grandson or their son reads the book and they give them a rucksack and then that's their exercise as they go for a ruck.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I think there's a lot of training that could be involved. There's definitely like a general adaptation to skill for it, for like the running and the shuffling and like building that. I do think it would make you slower at like bipedal, like running for sure if you do it too much. But yeah, it was a cool experience. I'm going to do all the challenges now because I paid the $100. So like I got to do the events. And next time I'm not going to do it the day before the last day. And then part of me, like, honestly, that today after I was helping the semifinal ladies get prepped, I was like, do I just do it again? Because I want to get the 4 miles, which is an arbitrary thing. It doesn't even matter. I went out there just to do the 60 minutes. And then now all of a sudden I have this like, get the 4 mile goal. But I do know that's a 15-minute mile pace, which is, I feel like it's pretty respectable with 40 pounds on my body.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you're not moving slow with 15-minute per mile pace. That's actually like one of the
it was 15:44 is what it ended at, was my average. So like that's why the 4 mile thing is why I want to do it, because you're so close. And I know that I could shave off that 44 seconds per mile, not easily, but with the technique I had, for sure, and just hold it. But yeah, why? What is the test?
It's like for wildland firefighters, it's called the pack test. So essentially the pack test is a 3 mile ruck with a 45-pound ruck, and you have to hit 3 miles in sub 45 minutes, but you cannot run. You
Yeah.
have to. Yeah,
I
you
don't
have
think
to power up.
you're running, dude. Like realistically, like
No.
from my experience yesterday at the 42 pounds, I was like, there's not a way to run, but I could shuffle. Like, how do I figure this out? And
Well,
that
it's
was,
like, yeah, you can't run the whole time, but they say like if you at one point ever run, you're done. You can't,
yeah.
or you're disqualified from the test.
Hmm.
And that's like their minimum requirement is that test.
I'm gonna look up some like times on that.
If you're tall like a gazelle, like my lieutenant, it's easy. But if you're a little short and stockier, it's
Listen,
a little
dude,
bit harder.
it did not feel easy. I definitely need to build up the endurance like in the shoulders for the bag because
Yeah,
that was
the
starting to
traps.
get.
Yeah, that one
Oh my
it lights
god!
you
I
up.
was just like, stop, because I know it'll stop eventually. I was
Yes.
just like waiting for
You
it to
take
go
a breath.
numb, but literally for like 25 minutes of the time, I was just like, this. I just want to take this thing off.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it
then
definitely weighs on the traps for sure. Especially over once you get over 20 pounds, then it starts to become like more of a issue.
yeah, it was cool though. I like it. But yeah, definitely, I could see training some specific things for it, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, it's cool. Keep you guys posted on that. But
Yeah.
it just it layers into like the fitness life stuff of like, oh yeah, just adding these things in. But the only reason why I can go out and do that is because I have ran, I have done CrossFit, I have done these things
Yes.
like my fit, like Harley said, and like he also is, our base level of fitness and experience is so high that we can choose to do those things. But there are a lot of people who don't have that experience or that base,
Yeah.
and they're sold that like go ahead and do that. Like it
Yeah.
does kind of irk me that the Ruck Racing League is out there trying to get a lot of people, because the only way they're going to make money is if they have a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
But the problem with having a lot of people do it is there's a lot of people who are just not ready for this.
Not ready for that, dude.
And hopefully,
Crush 'em.
same thing with the High Rocks, and hopefully, like it's a eye-opening experience that
Yeah.
motivates them to want to improve fitness characteristics to make them better at this chosen activity that they're doing seemingly for fun. You know,
Yes.
because I did have fun. It was fun out there with the by myself with the pack, just like grinding away,
Yeah.
like doing the hard work. I was like, damn, this is sick, dude. Not a lot of people would just be like, fuck it, $100, here we go. No training, 42 pounds, let's do it.
Yeah. No, there's not a ton of people that could do that and do what you did. Is I guess the best way to say it. Like
Thanks. I appreciate it.
actually be able to perform. You know, because like how Harley said is like you have that wide walks of life that go to the high rocks, and you're seeing a bunch of people walk. And granted, like that may have been like such a great experience for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would. I think they would have gotten more out of it if they were actually able to perform the test how it was supposed to be done.
Yeah. And if it was their first time, that's great. It's
Yeah.
just a realization. Okay, I walked. I want to learn how to not walk.
Yeah,
And then
there you
and then
go.
go from there. Right. That's I guess what we're promoting. But I think sometimes people think like, oh, you guys are hating on people who walk. It's like, no.
No, no, we're just saying that they can get a lot more out of it if they
Yeah,
train for
for
it.
sure.
Or, like, I guess that's a part of what we're saying. But
Yeah.
also I think the main thing what you're trying to say is like the base that we have as athletes and the years that we have allow us to not put a ton of specific training in to do an event like a ruck race league or even a high rocks. For me,
Yeah.
like I can say without a doubt, if Marissa was like, hey, go do a high rocks tomorrow, I could do it. Would
Yeah.
I go fast? No, I probably wouldn't go fast, but like I can do it
Yeah.
and it would be fun. But that's just because of my background.
Right.
So
All right, Tyler, you gonna do high rocks, dude? You convinced?
No.
yeah,
Come
there's
Dude.
gotta be at least one guy that's like, nah, this is stupid.
No, my best friend did it. He's tall and he's long, obviously because he's
No,
tall.
that has nothing to do with it. Look at Matt
No.
Fraser.
But
He's
Yeah,
doing
he's
high
like-
rocks too.
He's tiny.
running I've just never been. I mean, like you said, like half of the workout is running, and I'm just like, I don't want to run 8K and do everything else.
Well, it's just
If it was like high rocks
We're gonna
minus running, okay, now we're talking.
nah, that's the hard part though. It's the running.
it's all right. Just let it simmer. Maybe
Let's do a doubles, Tyler. Let's do a doubles.
there we go.
We'll make it work.
There you go.
Let's do doubles.
Like Harley said. All right. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a
I
good
was
one.
hoping we go over the workouts more, but if we don't need to. I think if
No,
you
we don't need.
finals, check them out. There's a lot of people.
They're cool. I like them.
Also, We haven't really done them yet. We could talk about them after the athletes do it. I think it's better just to have the fitness life stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Harley did a good job of alluding to that there are elite athletes that could benefit from High Rocks for their training in the off season.
Yeah, I agree. For
I'm gonna have
particular,
people
like
do
how
it.
he's saying Jace